Hi, everybody. It's Monica with American English with Monica. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Welcome back to my channel where we're learning phrasal verbs. And this week, this phrasal verb was a request from you. So thank you for typing comments and questions, examples, and requests. It's awesome. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you could please like and subscribe, that would be so awesome for the channel, and I'll keep making videos. All right, I will keep showing up. Show up is such a good phrasal verb, and there are 4 very different meanings that I want to talk about. Okay, the first one is the most common, and it means to arrive. To arrive at a place, to arrive at a party, to arrive at work, to show up. And usually we say this when it's a scheduled event, like you have an appointment, so you showed up at 9 o'clock. We have a party next weekend. Please show up early. This means to arrive. With this definition, we don't separate the phrasal verb. Show up. Show up on Saturday. Show up at 5 o'clock. He showed up late for the interview. Uh-oh. You don't want to show up late for a job interview, right? So a synonym is to arrive. Okay. That's a really common definition. The other really common definition when something shows up, it's clearly visible. It's something that's obvious. You can see it easily. So for example, I use a black marker on a white board so that the writing shows up easily. I don't want to use a color that's too light because I want my students to see the words. So when we see something that shows up well, it means you can see it easily. If you work at a company, I teach business English. If you work at a company and you're reviewing a project or a marketing campaign or a new logo, you want to see if the colors show up, if they're bright enough, if they're contrasting enough. Okay? So how can we say this? When you can see something easily, it shows up. To be visible. Okay? All right. Again, with this definition, when something shows up, if something isn't showing up, we need to change the color, for example. We do not separate the phrasal verb. Okay? There's a final definition that I will review today where you do separate the phrasal verb. But on these first 3, we do not. So if you have any examples of when you have shown up for a party or you have shown up for work, maybe someone showed up late for an important event. If you have an example, put it in the comments. And if you have an example of something that's visible, it's easily seen, like the city, I live near the city of Boston in the state of Massachusetts in the country of America. Anyway, the Boston city skyline, do you know this word? Some cities, they talk about their skyline and it's buildings, right? That's the skyline. And Boston always had 2 very tall buildings that were very close in height. Well, they just built a new building that's taller, and it really shows up on the skyline. It shows up. It's very visible. Sorry, that was loud. It's very visible. Okay. So if you have an example of something using this phrasal verb, let me know. The next one, I really want to try to describe this because it's becoming more and more common to say we showed up for someone. So friends will say, yeah, you showed up for me during a difficult time. Or your boss might say, I need you to show up more for the current projects. Now, they don't mean to arrive or to come to work or to be there. They actually mean to do extra. When we show up for someone or we show up for something with this context, we're talking about doing more, being present, giving our full attention, being very helpful. If you're showing up for your friends, or you're showing up for your classmates or your coworkers, you're doing extra to be helpful. This is a different meaning than to arrive or to be seen, okay? And for this meaning, we cannot separate the phrasal verb. So, to be helpful. And we use the preposition for someone. Sometimes we use this to show up for someone when they're having a difficult time, right? My friend got a divorce and I've shown up for her. I've called her a lot. I check in and see how she's doing. Maybe I take her out for a dinner or a movie to have some fun. When we show up for people, we're helping them with our presence, with our energy. Yeah. And we can use this at work. You will hear this at work or in movies or TV shows. If a boss says, thank you, you've been really showing up more for the current projects, and we noticed, so we're going to give you a promotion. Okay, you're doing extra work to be helpful. Those are the three common meanings I wanted to discuss. The fourth one is the one of the definitions where you can separate the phrasal verb. Yeah, so it's a little bit different. And it's really, really opposite. Because on this meaning, we're being kind to someone, right? We're helping our job or our friends. But when we're showing someone up, whew, that's very different. So, when we're, let me write it on a new board. To show someone up. This is almost, it is rude. It's rude to show someone up. It means you're trying to embarrass them. You're trying to sound better or that you did more, and you're going to show them up by bragging, and it's humiliating the other person. This is not kind. When you show someone up, it's not kind. When you show up for someone, it is kind. This is a little bit confusing. This is advanced English. And when my student asked for this phrasal verb, I don't know what context that they were referring to. But if someone said, oh, you showed up for me, thank you. But if someone said, during the meeting, it seemed like you were trying to show me up. That's very different. So to embarrass, R-R-A-S-S. I hope I spelled that right. Spelling is not my strength. Spelling in English to me is very hard. So I hope that's right. Embarrass. I think it's 2 R's and 2 S's. Okay. When we embarrass someone in a particular way, we're trying to say that we did more or we did a better job. So for example, let me give you some examples of when we show someone up. It's almost always separated. Okay, let's do a work environment because I teach business English. If you're at a meeting and your boss says, "Wow, you did great. You finished 3 projects in 1 month. Awesome. Good job." And then your colleague, your coworker says, "Well, I did 5 projects in 1 month." They're saying that they did more or they did it better or faster because they're trying to show you up. It's not very kind. Okay? So, have you ever had this happen to you? Has someone tried to embarrass you by comparing their performance to yours? Right? So if someone says, "Wow, I just got invited to a party and I got a new dress." And someone else says, "Well, I got invited to 6 parties." So they're just trying to show you up. They're comparing to try to embarrass you. Give me some examples in the comments. This is a tricky advanced English phrasal verb. But if you have any examples of these reasons, I would love to know if you've ever shown up for your friends or your classmates by helping them. If you have an example of something that shows up more now that you've added some color or added some height, maybe something shows up more in your life, it appears more. Or if you have an example of when you've arrived somewhere. Yeah. Sometimes show up, like I said, to be visible, maybe with color. I like to notice things. I take a nature walk almost every day. I love walking outside. It's one of my favorite activities. And I like to look for certain colors sometimes. Like today I'm going to notice all the yellow, right? And then yellow starts to show up. It starts to be more visible. Right? You can do this in your life. Maybe you'll walk through your city and you'll try to notice people smiling more or people that are in a good mood. And suddenly those positive things start to show up in your life. If you think about it, I believe that this happens. If you have any examples of something showing up, let me know. I'm so glad you're here. I love this phrasal verb so much. It's 4 very different definitions, but I'm really glad we got to review them. Thank you for coming to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.